All right, we are live. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Fair Chase podcast. We've had a busy spring this year, hunting and preparing for hunts and doing a lot of fishing lately, but it's good to be back here, good to be recording, and today I've got Kurt Belding with us. Kurt, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you.
Yeah. It's been good to connect. We were just saying prior to the show, we run in similar circles. The Fair Chase does stuff with the WTA, so Worldwide Trophy Adventures. A lot of the hunts that we've done and are doing are there. And Kurt works for those guys and Tuo, one of the kind of the sponsors of this podcast. Looks like you've teamed up with them as well. So we've seen you around and followed you from a distance, but thought we'd make it a little less creepy and just get you on the podcast today and actually talk to you.
Less stalkerish.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, I had told you prior to the podcast, we're busy doing stuff and having fun this fall or this spring, and so we've been turkey hunting. But you had a little bit of a more unique turkey hunt before. I guess it is. Yeah, it's a turkey hunt that evolved into other things as well. But before we jump into that, you want to take a minute and just tell everybody who you are, what you do?
Yeah. My name's Kurt Belding. I own Western Obsessions TV, and I'll try to make it quick, man. There's a lot of background here to go over, but basically, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. Working for WTA has been my first job ever. Actually, I have to take that back. I had a weird job when I was 20, but I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time. I hit 40, had I don't call it a midlife crisis. I call it a midlife adjustment. It's probably 100% a midlife crisis, but I ended up selling or closing all the businesses that I had. I was just kind of burnt out on business stuff, and all I wanted to do was go on really cool hunting adventures. So I'm 44 now, so I've been doing it for 4 years. I've just been going on cool hunting adventures, filming them, and trying to entertain others, and it's been a blast, man. So basically, I've taken my retirement early. Decided about a year and a half ago that I'd jump on with WTA and help them with their digital marketing. And
cool.
Awesome company, man. I'm big in marketing from running businesses and stuff, so it's a really good fit. And they had actually sent me to Campeche, Mexico, which is in the Yucatan, last year on an ocellated turkey hunt, and then I hosted a trip this year down there also. Yeah. So that's kind of brings us up to speed to where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good. I gotta just turn back a minute. So you were an entrepreneur. What kind of entrepreneurial activities were you doing? What were your businesses?
Yeah, lots of businesses. It's funny. It's like once you've tasted a little bit of success in business when you're an early entrepreneur and you're new into it, you just want to taste everything. So you just want to do all the businesses, and then you don't do anything well when you do too much anyway. So, but mainly in fitness and sports nutrition and fitness. So I used to own GNC stores a long time ago, and I decided I wanted to do my own thing, and I thought I could do it better. And I did. So I started something that it was called Fit Republic. Sports nutrition retail chains. I end up franchising it, opened up a whole bunch of locations, and then I started manufacturing my own products. So that's its own business, my own product lines. Started a meal prep company, which is healthy food, called Fit Republic Foods. I owned an outfitting business, so I took people elk hunting for a while. Did that for a while in the hunting space. Had a content creation company. I owned a CrossFit gym. So
Body Rival?
Body Rival is my brand. Yeah, my supplement line.
Okay,
brand.
okay. I'm looking at your LinkedIn right now. That's why I say I just pulled it up.
That thing's so old and outdated, so who knows what's on there. But my CrossFit gym was called One Beat CrossFit. But I did a whole bunch of stuff, usually on the fitness side, man. That's another big passion of mine, is being fit and healthy. And a big goal of mine, kind of like a tagline, is I want to hunt till I'm 80 years old. The backpacking, backcountry hunt till I'm 80. So being fit and healthy plays a huge part of that.
Yeah, no, we talk about that a lot here. You know, obviously the training side, but also like we've been stretching a lot more, doing the things like, my God, this is the kind of thing that, you know, 40 years down the line, I'm gonna need, you know.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, as you get older, the more stretching you do. I just
Yeah,
posted something about a month ago where I spend more time stretching now than I do actually working out, which is huge. Though you don't understand how big it is to be flexible and mobile, especially those type of like backpacking hunts. You need that. Yeah.
yeah. You beat your body up, and I've been able to tell just the last couple of years versus when I first started doing that type of hunt. My back and my back and my hips, you know, my feet, usually
Mm-hmm.
where I had trouble, especially back and feet. And so a lot of stretching, and I'm feeling pretty limber now, feeling better.
Good.
Uh, yeah. So, well, so you started these companies, decided, you know, you needed to do your own thing, and you've been out for 4 years kind of doing WOTV.
Yeah.
So how has that gone? What's it been like starting that? Like you kind of
Mhm.
new to the industry, right? Like
Yeah.
kind of new to it.
Yeah, no, not new to hunting, but new to the outdoor industry for sure. And let me back up a little bit and kind of give a little context on why I closed. Because most people think, well, you're an entrepreneur, you're probably making a bunch of money, and you're probably living a decent life. And yes, that is, so there's some truth to that. But my thought was, it's more important for me to live the life the way I want to live it than how much money I make in life. So it was real important for me to go out and have these adventures. And I went full blown, man, completely obsessed with it. But yeah, starting out in the hunting industry or filming and having a hunting show, huge learning curve. I mean, just to film a hunt alone is a huge learning curve. It's, you know, I do a lot of self filming also when I can't bring a guy with me. And dude, that is so hard. I have blown and screwed up so many hunts just trying to film the hunt. That
Yes.
huge learning curve. And when I think back at the first time I tried filming my hunting, I had filmed like the stock and I filmed the animal, didn't get a kill shot. And I took this footage back to like my videographers and editor. And I was like, hey man, make this into an episode. And they're like, what do you want me to do with this? Like, there's nothing here. There's no B-roll. There's like no narrative. There's nothing. I'm like, oh yes, I guess I need all that stuff. Yeah, but huge learning curve, man. Just on the filming side, just to like put something together that can be entertaining for someone to watch. But then on the business side too, you know, I actually had a buddy of mine that I kind of started this with, and he used to have an outdoor show. And this was like 10, 15 years ago. And the game has changed so much since then. We kind of had to relearn what was going on
Yeah.
the business side. You know, like back then it was like you put your show on the Sportsman's Channel, Outdoor Channel, got a bunch of views, which automatically you paid for the views, right? You paid for the advertising, people watch, and then you go to sponsors and say, hey, we have 100,000 views per episode or whatever it is, give us money, we'll advertise. And that was the game, you know. And then once it became kind of popular, you started making products. But that is not the game now. That's
Yep.
not even close. So we had to kind of relearn how to do, well, I had to learn, he had to relearn how to do that stuff. And I'm still struggling, man. Like, I'm sure you are too, because I know you guys have had a podcast for a while, but you're new into the filming and the episodic side of it, right?
OnX is the title sponsor of our podcast here at the Fair Chase, and it's a must-have app for all of us who love to explore the outdoors. Whether you're hunting or hiking or fly fishing, OnX gives you detailed, accurate maps right at your fingertips. With property boundaries, topographical features, and trail data, you'll always know where you are and where you're headed. You'll also likely be able to figure out where that big buck is headed to. Plus, their offline maps mean you're covered even in the most remote locations. OnX is the ultimate tool for outdoor navigation, making every adventure safer and more enjoyable. Download OnX today and explore with confidence. Yeah. It's, I mean, we've told the story on the podcast before, but our first film, which actually was released as our second film because we just had to get the timing right, but the first day in, we lost half of our cameras to the tide in Alaska. So like,
Oh, geez.
you know, we're learning on the fly too, and thinking like, oh no, this is our first time ever doing this. first of all, we'll come back with nothing. And secondly, you know, for the people watching are going to think it's terrible. And then our sponsors, all the people that you get to support you and, you know, help make these things happen, which is an incredibly complex thing to figure out, you know, between getting a hunt and sponsors and at the right angle and what weapon should you use, travel and distribution and all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. And it's definitely been a learning curve for us for sure. But you know, that's part of like, you know, you said you're a serial kind of entrepreneur. And I think to do that, you need to be willing to try and be not good at something at first and to learn as you go. And not everybody has the stomach for that, which is fine. But I could definitely see, you know, the transition that you've made from, you know, having your businesses to where you are now. It's just entrepreneurism.
It's a word, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's being an entrepreneur just in a different space.
It's true. I carry a lot of the same skill sets into this as I did building a business, right? Like the most important thing about building a business is continuing to try to be successful and just be willing to change the game plan. Like you may have a game plan coming into it. Okay, this is what we're going to do, but you know, 3 months in, you get punched in the face with something and you got to change that game plan, right? So just continue to change the game plan and figure out what's working and what's not. And I'm still doing it. You know, I don't, I've built a pretty decent following, but I would not call myself successful at doing this yet. I believe I will be, you know, because I love it so much, man. I'm kind of addicted to filming my hunts and like putting out an episode and entertaining that no matter what I'm doing, I see myself continuing to do this until I'm dead. You know, I just love it so much.
I love that. And I mean that right there, that makes it all worth it. And it makes it easier to try new things, test new things, see what people like, see what resonates and everything else. And I think that mindset translates to hunting. I mean, that's a hunting trip. You go in with a plan, everything changes. You have to make a new plan. You have to stay flexible and kind of have an open mind about what you're seeing and, you know, where you are. Love it. It all comes together really nicely.
It does. And here's the variable that I keep going back to. Like I have a why, right, that I've written out on the board. Because, you know, when things get tough and they always get hard, right? Like most people quit when things get hard and they don't change that game plan. Sometimes I spent $5,000 on a hunt. You know, maybe it's not even a guided hunt. It's like I'm traveling at air flight or like gas, food, the tag, like it can add up really fast. And maybe I don't kill something, or I do kill, and then I spend all the time and energy to edit the episode, and the episode doesn't get the traction I think it should have or could have, or like I hoped it would, and I just feel like it was a failure, right? I'm like, man, why am I doing this? I just spent a ton of money, ton of time, ton of energy away from my family. It's not making me any money. Why am I doing this? Well, I look back at some of these things that I've thought about, and a huge part of this is, you know, if you look back at your grandpa's grandpa, you probably don't even have a picture of who that is, right? But my grandkids could look back and say, man, who was that idiot old great grandpa Kurt that would like go off and like have these adventures and film his hunt? And they can actually see who I am, right? And some of the dumb stuff I've done in my life, right? So it's really cool to be able to have something like that, even if that episode gets 100 views, but like my great grandkid could look back and watch it, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And, you know, legacy, so important. You know, I just had it digging through stuff, family stuff. My great grandpa's brother, I think, or brother-in-law, something like that. Anyways, he was a houndsman out in Montana. And like, I found all these early, like 1900 photos of him with lions, you know, that he killed. I just found out about. I'm like, that is freaking cool. You know, I forgot his name. It was like, he was nicknamed Cougar or something, or anyways, I mean, he was it was cool. Like you said, it's cool to also be like, oh, and now I know who this guy is, and it's actually kind of cool because he did a similar thing that I'm doing still, you know.
You
cool
can
stuff.
Look back and like you could see that in the genetics, right? Like, man, I love hunting. Man, my great grandpa's brother or whatever it was, like whatever that was for you, like he was a houndsman. No wonder I like hunting. That's come down to the genetics. That's really cool.
Well, now, and I'm sitting here, and behind me, I've got an animal that's a quarter hound. Now, I think that's a bit of a stretch, but he does have a little hound in him, so I feel like I'm carrying on the,
Yeah, there you
you
go.
know, the family tradition. Well, speaking of hunts, that your great grandkids are going to be able to watch. You just got back from a pretty epic hunt down in the Yucatan.
Yeah, it's a definitely it's an adventure hunt. It's different than any type of hunt. You can't when you think of hunting, you don't really think of going to a jungle in Mexico as a big cool hunt, but it's very cool. It's a cool adventure. There's a lot of cool culture there. Like not this trip, but the trip before, we found some ruins out in the jungle and end up finding some old like 3,000-year-old pottery. That was
No
like,
way.
dude, that was like the highlight of my trip. It was awesome. I loved that type of stuff,
Yeah.
and but there's ruins all over in the jungle of 3,000-year-old little piles of rock that used to be little homes or stuff like that. So super cool down there. I love the culture. Um,
Is that like Mayan or Olmec or
Mayan. Yeah, it's
Mayan? Okay.
Mayan ruin. So it's in the Mayan jungle of Mexico. So it's the jungle's like where we were at was probably about 5 hours from Campeche, Mexico.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and the main thing that you hunt down there, or what's super popular, is the ocellated turkey. So it's the turkey that looks like a peacock, super pretty, colorful, cool bird, man. And they're quite a bit different than like the turkey that we hunt here in the States, where they don't gobble. They call them singing. They make a completely different sound. Their spurs are huge. They're you know probably 2-inch spurs on an average bird. They're just a huge spurs.
Got it.
Smaller bird, they're like 10, 12 pound birds. But you hunt them completely different than you would the turkey here in the States too. But last year I went down there and shot an ocellated turkey and some other birds like a crested guan, a curassow. I shot a
Yeah.
cudamonde. Um, all cool birds, guys. If you're listening and don't know what they are, you just have to Google them. I could try to describe them. I probably won't do it justice, but cool birds. Cudamonde is like basically the raccoon of a jungle. But this time going down, I hosted a trip. I hosted a group of people. We had a dad and a son going down. The son is 7 years old, and he's the youngest person to ever complete a World Turkey Slam.
I saw that. What?
Yeah, super cool dad and son combo. Good little boy, man. He's a cool kid. And that
Did he want to? I saw that and I wondered, like, was he thrilled about it, or is this one of those situations where the dad was like, all right, we're gonna get you the youngest turkey slam? How did that break
yeah,
down between? This episode is also brought to you by 2O Gear, innovators in technical hunting clothing. 2O is a newer company. It's based right here in Michigan. And whether you're hunting elk in the mountains or chasing antelope in the plains or traipsing through swamps after that ruddy buck, 2O has you covered with premium jackets and pants, merino wool layers, everything you could possibly need to stay comfortable in the woods. Their products are engineered for functionality and durability, ensuring you stay protected in any conditions. Plus, their camo is really effective. We're big fans. So don't take our word for it, though. Go to 2ogear.com and check it out.
yeah, man. Because that's a good question, right? Like, because you think about that, you're like, man, is this just some dad that's just dragging his son all over the place, killing turkeys, and he doesn't even really care, right? Or is the boy super into it? And he's super into it. He loves it. He
Yep.
loves hunting. So he was stoked about it. I mean, we're getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning most mornings to like get to a Jeep ride to get to where yeah. So the little boy's up at 3, man, and he's in the 110-degree jungle sweating his butt off. And yeah, he loved it. It was a blast, man. So, so we
Yeah,
had
I
those
love
guys
it.
there. We had Chris B and his girlfriend Caitlin there filming
Mhm.
and doing their thing. So it was a cool group, man. It was a lot of fun. I end up filming for Caitlin for the first 2 days because she does a lot of self filming like I do,
Okay.
and so I filmed for her until she shot her bird, and then I hunted for 2 days, and I only brought my bow. I was like, last time I brought my bow, and I was like, I wanted to shoot everything with my bow, but I ended up switching to a shotgun halfway
Yep.
through because it's tough, man. Jungle's thick.
It's
It's
thick.
just hard
You
hunting.
can't get a shot through. I saw Chris shot a turkey without his bow there, which felt
He
like a
did.
crime.
Right?
What a
Like
loot,
he's Mr.
you
Bow
know?
Guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So he switched to a shotgun, and he had. I mean, I don't want to give away any details of his hunt, but it's just really hard to hunt with a bow there. So last
Yeah.
trip I shot a oscillated turkey with a shotgun. I shot a Cuda Monday with my bow last year, but this year I was like, nope. I've already shot the oscillated. Like I'm bringing my bow, and I'm only hunting with my bow. And I wanted to shoot a brocket deer, which these deer are like little miniature deer, right? Like they're
Yeah.
tiny little thing, like 15, 20-pound deer with these little spikes on their head. Cool deer though.
Yeah.
So that was the goal for this trip.
It looked awesome. So the Coda Monday is that weird, like not like a weasel or a dog, or what is that thing?
It's like it looks almost kind of like a lemur, but
Yeah.
I mean, best way to describe it is like the raccoon of the jungle.
Raccoon. Okay, that was the word I was. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool little things, man. And they're all over the place. So shot one of those with a bow on my first trip. And then on this trip, once Caitlin shot her turkey, then I jumped into hunting brocket deer. And it's a cool hunt, man, because it's kind of like a whitetail hunt. So you set up in like a scrape line. Like they find little scrape lines, they find little food plots, like a little acorn dropping type of thing in the jungle. And yeah, even though they got these little spikes on their head, they still rubbing trees and doing scrapes. It's kind of cool.
Good. That warms my heart a little bit.
I know, right? Like, yeah, like shit, we're just whitetail hunting here.
Yeah, I know this.
Yeah, but you set up on these cool things called, oh man, what are the name of them? A shaman. Don't quote me on this.
Yeah.
It's basically like they build these little platforms out of the trees in the area. And they
like a
put
mackin or machin.
Mashan,
How do you say that?
that's what it is.
Mashan?
Yes, you got it. Yeah, Mashan. Yes.
I've been writing for WTA a little bit on the side, and that word is thrown around a lot, and I've never said it out loud. So, like, I've never known how to pronounce it. Mashan.
Yeah, that's how they pronounce it there, is a Mashan. So, and it's basically a hammock that's tied up into this platform that you sit in. And it's super comfortable, man. You're in a hammock. But you're like, as with a bow, I got to figure out how to shoot a bow out of laying in a hammock, right? So it's a little bit different. And I'm self-filming it. So we sit the first afternoon, no luck. We jump in the next morning, and I'm in there in dark. And I've just got my GoPro. You know, like there's no way to really strap up a camera and do it right. So I just throw a GoPro in my head, and I see this little buck. Well, we see a deer coming in that morning, but it's like super dark. I could barely see the outline of him. And he's coming in. He's only like 8 to 10 yards from me, but like 20 yards is a long shot in the jungle because of all the foliage, right? Like super thick. And I'm waiting for my guide that's sitting with me because I couldn't tell if it was a buck or a doe, waiting for him to see if it was a buck or doe. And finally, as he gets like 20 yards out, he's like, okay, shoot it. It's a buck. I'm like, oh, okay, crap. I should have shot it when it was like 8 yards. Go to full draw when it goes behind this little bush. It goes to full draw, and then I lose it, and I can't see it because it's so dark. And I got my GoPro running, but you know about a GoPro in low light. You're not going to see anything on that thing, right? So that footage is screwed. So I'm on full draw, and I looked back at the GoPro footage. I was at full draw for 2 minutes waiting for this thing to so I can see it again. And I finally saw a head movement, and I could see barely the outline of the body, and ended up taking a shot and shooting a brocket deer. And at the time, I'm like, cool, I shot a brocket deer, no big deal. But then afterwards, I post a picture, and we got back to camp or whatever, and I didn't know how big of a deal it was to shoot a brocket deer with your bow. I guess like only a handful of people have ever shot a brocket deer with a bow. It's such a big deal. I didn't know. But
really?
Yeah. But I ended up shooting a brocket deer with my bow, and a young buck. He wasn't anything big. You know, I think a big is something like 5 to 6 inches of a spike. He only had like 2.5, 3 inches spike. But I didn't care. It was fun, man. Yeah. And we ended up eating him that same day. We had him for like lunch. Super good tasting too. Really good.
Like regular venison, or did he have like a little bit of a southern flair to him or anything like that? Any tropical?
The meat was similar to like deer meat, like venison, but there was no wild game. Maybe it was the way they cooked it or whatever, but like no wild. It tasted like beef, no
Yeah.
wild game flavor at all. So it was really good.
What'd you eat it with?
We kind of like a nachos platter. It was like shredded with like throw it on some chips and some other toppings and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
nice.
good.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to another amazing sponsor of ours, Kafaru International. If you're like us and love hunting in some of the toughest places, you know how crucial having the right gear is. Kafaru makes some of the toughest, most reliable backpacks and tents out there, and it's all made right here in America. Whether you're hunting in the backcountry or headed to your favorite deer stand, Kafaru has you covered. Keep your eyes out this year, especially as they're launching a ton of amazing new products like the new Arc frame that just came out. So next time you gear up for an adventure, make sure to check out Kafaru International. Well, that's cool. The ocellated turkey is like one of the forgotten of the slam. It's like that southern cool looking bird. We had looked at that. I know the hunt that you went on through WT. I was actually just looking at that the other day, just kind of looking at pictures because it's so unique. And fairly affordable. Yeah.
It's probably the most affordable like adventure hunt. When I say adventure hunt, I mean like you're traveling to another country, you're going into the jungle. And when I say jungle, I had a misperception of the jungle also. I was thinking like rainforest, and it's not. It's like basically big whitetail woods with some vines and super dry, but really, really thick is what you're really getting into down there. Yeah.
Interesting. What? Michigan in the summer. Like
yeah. Super thick woods.
Yeah.
But yeah, not rainforest. So it's real similar. Shoot, I kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah, it was kind of a misperception. Like, I was expecting rainforest. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I'm from Michigan here, and I've had people from out west visit and tell me, it's like, this is like a jungle. I'm like, what are you talking about? But I went out there a couple days ago, and it's like, it's thick. You can't shoot very far where I am. It gets, especially with the autumn olives that we got here and some of the other like invasive stuff, it just fills all the space in. And that's interesting. And I saw, looking back in your pictures here, that you also saw our video. You got into a Jaguar.
Dude, yeah, super cool moment. The trip before, I found 3,000-year-old pottery. That was like, man, this is like, that made the trip. That Jaguar sighting this trip made the trip. That was amazing. We were sitting at a water hole. I was with Caitlin, so I was filming with her. I was behind her, and we're probably only 20 yards from this water hole. And I was like nervous because I wanted to make sure I got the kill shot for her. So like I couldn't see very well. I was kind of like in a bad spot, and the guides are like, and our guides don't speak English hardly at all, so I don't really know what's going on most of the time.
Right.
And so they're kind of freaking out a little bit, like something's coming in, and we're hunting curassow there. That's what we're kind of after. And so I'm looking up, expecting a bird, and I look over to my left, and I see a jaguar coming in to drink at the water hole at like 20 yards from us. Super cool, man. Came into the water hole, didn't know we were there, and he drank. It was a female, drank from the water hole for, it seemed like 15 minutes. It was maybe like 5, but like forever. Just sat there and drank, and then just slowly walked off and went on her way, man. It was really cool. Very cool experience.
Yeah, big cat like that close. I mean, yeah, also kind of think of anything like, I mean, we we're used to having like mountain lions, but when you start seeing spots, on a big cat, it's like, oh, that's pretty exotic.
Yeah. And I guess the population of them are really good in the jungle. Like they're protected, but they have a really healthy population, and people see them. But we know, as like hunting here in the West, is a mountain lion. Even though there's a lot of mountain lions, you don't see them very often.
Right.
Like it's very rare to see a mountain lion. They see you. Yeah, they know where you're at, but you don't see them. So like to be sitting at a water hole and have a jaguar come into it and not see us and not know we're there, and just watch its mannerisms and watch it do its thing. It was really cool.
That's awesome. So you shot 2 birds and a deer and a jungle raccoon. It's 4.
Total. So the trip before, I shot an ocellated turkey, I shot a guan, a curassow, and a cudamonde.
What's a
That's
guan?
a guan is the it's a it's like a big black bird with like a mohawky
Oh
type of
yeah.
thing. It's got a red beak and kind of a red neck. Cool looking birds, man. Um, and you know what I'll probably do is like I'll do like a little taxidermy corner. That's like my Mexico corner or
Cool.
something like that. My jungle corner. I think it'd be really cool. So 4 birds my first trip, or 3 birds on a Cudamonde, and then my second trip I shot a brocket deer and a male curassow. So the bird I shot the first trip was a female. So now
Like
I've got a male and a female that I can and mount, and they look completely different. The female's beautiful; it's like a tiger striped, cool bird, and then the male's all black with like a yellow, bright yellow beak and a black mohawk type of thing. Man, they're beautiful birds.
hard was it hard getting it back in the States? All this stuff?
It is hard, and I still haven't got them, to be honest with you. So
Oh,
it's the paperwork of the Mexican government. I guess there's been some re-elections, and in the re-elections,
yeah.
people lose their jobs and they rehire. So in that process, everything is basically put on hold and halted. So there's a lot of paperwork that has to happen before these skins or mounts come into the United States, and I haven't even got them yet. So that's okay. I'm running out of room in my little office down here to put in any more mounts, so I have to figure that out before I get them anyway.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Oh, you got some how long do you think till you get them in?
Man, no one really knows. That's the
Yeah.
weird thing. It's and I'm sure it'll get better here in the next couple of years, but it's been a year, a little over a year since that first trip. So I'm guessing probably 6 more months, and I'll probably get them back.
Okay, well, we just got to hit up the new president. So Mexico had the news was this is her first woman president.
Oh,
And so Claudia, her name's like Scheinbaum or something like that. Anyways, first Mexican. This was like this week or today or yesterday. So,
oh wow.
um,
All
yeah,
right.
this is like stuff. You're a part of
Awesome. Good
a
stuff.
big thing going on.
Yeah, I got to like throw out a message saying, "Give me my taxidermy,
Hey,
Claudia."
Claudia, let's speed it up a little bit. Using that fancy pen of yours to, get some things moving for me.
That's right. Well, that's pretty
So
cool, man.
you,
That's the first. Is that the
yeah,
first women president like ever in every
th-
country, or
just Mexico.
just
No, yeah,
Mexico?
just for Mexico.
Yeah,
So I don't know, whatever that means. I guess there's a joke in there, some sort of something, but
of course.
we'll just leave that there
Of course,
and move
there's
on.
jokes.
That's my mother-in-law with this podcast on occasion. I got to stay in good standing
Yeah,
with
let's keep it PG.
Um, so you're filming Hans. Obviously, that means you got to be planning for stuff well in advance of it coming out because you got to line out travel and video
Mhm.
guy editing and release schedule. So like, how far in advance are you planning these trips?
Most of them, I plan it pretty far, man. I'm talking 6 months at least, and mainly because of family. That's really the
Right.
variable. It's like we've got a new little boy. He's not new anymore. He's 2. So I have a 2-year-old. I have a 14-year-old. So like when I leave, I'm leaving my wife with the kids, and I got to make sure like everything's put together, and you know what I mean. So like that's really where the planning comes in. Is the family stuff, the hunting stuff. You know, obviously I'm obsessed with it, so it's not hard planning. But it takes a lot of planning. So I start planning most of my hunts 6 months out at least. But there are a lot of hunts, man, that like just spring up on me. Like I just went on a wolf hunt in
I
Alberta in
saw that.
January.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. Different type of hunt, different type of hard, where you're sitting in a blind from sun up to sundown, and you can't leave the blind. You know, it's mentally hard, right? So, but like that hunt, the outfitter called me and said, "Hey, Kurt, I got a spot. You want it? Like you got to leave here in a couple days." I'm like, "Yeah, I want it." By
Yeah.
the way, honey, I'm leaving in a couple days, and I'll be gone for like 10 days. So that you got to like smooth that one over. But some of these hunts just spur up like that, and you got to get it figured out if you want to make it happen. So
Yeah. Was that your first wolf?
yeah, that was my first even seeing a wolf in
Yeah.
real life, which was amazing, man. Like just see a wolf kind of do its thing. You know, after shooting a wolf, I shot one there, and then walking up to it, just seeing how actually big that animal is. And like, it took me a moment to like step up and actually touch him. You know what I mean? He's got these big
Yeah.
teeth out, and like, I hope he's really dead. You
Yeah.
know, just not like playing possum or whatever. It took me a moment as I'm standing over him to like step up there and put my hands on him, because they're scary animals, man. Very cool, beautiful animals.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, just when it's, especially when it's like you hunt an animal you've never seen, much less seen at all, like, but seen up close. So when you like walk up to it, I've had the same thing where like, you just feel like a little apprehensive walking up to this thing that you're not used to, you know, just not used to seeing.
Well, like you guys going on that moose hunt last year, like that thing's a freaking dump truck you're walking up to.
You walk up to it, it's like, I don't even know, what am I looking at? You know, I've seen a moose, but I've never seen a dead moose, and I never shot, much less shot one. And like you said, you walk up, you're just like, this is a new thing. This is all new. But awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. Like there's so much to take in that it's just a lot, and you're trying to soak in the moment, right? But like there's so much to do, especially when you're filming too. You're like, okay, got to get all the shots, got to get the pictures, got to get everything that we got to get. I want to enjoy the moment, but then we got to start breaking this thing down, and like we're running out of time. Yeah, that's a lot to do.
We just talked about this. My camera guy was like, when you shot that moose, I didn't see it not on the screen, because he had two cameras. When we shot it, he was able to grab a camera that he could hold in a tripod. So he's like running around carrying stuff, and we're, you know, working our way through this swamp, and like, you know, the shot, he was looking at one screen and he was filming me for the other one. And so he's like, I never saw the moose come in person. I was looking at the screen the whole time.
Which is the downside of filming, right? Like you're watching it on a screen and you're not watching it in real life. And in my opinion, like you miss that variable of like real life action, right? So like that's the downside of like when you're filming a hunt and you're behind a camera, like, and then if you're filming and then you want to see it in real life, you look off that camera to look, and then the camera moves and you like, so it's a balance, man, for sure.
It is. And I always try to like you were saying, when I'm in the moment, all right, you know, just take a minute, look at it, like observe, appreciate, enjoy it. You know, like for the moose, I'm like, remember try to pick up its head and remember the weight and what it feels like, that kind of thing. Like this is once you get to do this kind of thing in this place, like do it right, you know, which is easy to forget. But so anyway, so you've got plans 6 months out. That's about the cadence that we're at too. It's just like you said, with family and schedules and release dates and hunts that fill up, and you know, wanting to do something different and find a good angle, it takes a lot of work. So that's why I figured you probably were. So you get your fall planned?
Not really, because draw results are still kind of coming out, and there's secondary draws, and so not really. And then so there's a lot of holes to fill. I do have a couple hunts that I have on the books that, like, I drew Alaska mountain goat tag this year, so that's going to be an exciting one. And then I'm going on a archery mule deer hunt in South Dakota, so I know that I'm doing those two for sure. My daughter drew a deer tag, so I'll definitely do that. And man, I really want to film it, but she hates it when I film and hunt with her, so like I probably won't film it, and I'll just enjoy the hunt with her. But other than that, man, I got to fill in a bunch of holes. I didn't draw an elk tag, so I'll probably do an over the counter here in Colorado, or try to pull something on the leftover list. And I'm sorry, I drew a whitetail tag in Kansas, so I'll be in Kansas in November hunting whitetail with my bow.
Right.
So yeah, there's things that are set, but you're still filling holes. And if you're like me, man, like you want to be hunting all the time, right? So like, what can I do? All right, I've got like 3 weeks where I'm not going on a hunt. How can I fit in another hunt, right?
Yeah, that's all summer. It feels like, which means I just fish a lot. I'm on the water a lot.
Yeah,
checking the cameras, shooting my bow, whatever I can do to be out and chasing.
And you guys are in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Well, what I think, and I hear this a lot from people in Michigan, they're like, "Oh man, I wish I lived out west. Oh, hunting out west." I'm always like, "You guys, like, we don't have to get drawn for a deer season. Our season lasts from October 1 to January 1. Like,
Yeah.
out west they don't have such an extended season for one game where you can hunt every day for 3 months. You can't do that in a lot of places out west. And so it's like, it's cool to live here. Like, there's a lot of good stuff that comes with it too.
That's true, man. Like, if you got some hunting land that's close to home, you literally could be hunting any day you want. You could just, you know what, I'm gonna go hunt today. I'm gonna hit this afternoon and drop everything and just go do it. Can't really do, like, I live on the kind of the eastern side of the Denver metro. And even though I'm in Colorado, you'd think, oh man, you live in Colorado, you're probably in the mountains all the time scouting and like, nope, not really. Family stuff, work stuff. I don't have a lot of time. I probably spend just as much time in the mountains as someone from Michigan coming out on an elk hunt. Like,
Right.
Like if I wanted to go hunt a new area, I do a lot of e-scouting just like someone from Michigan would. I try to get there once a summer to scout the area at least, but man, a lot of times I just can't because of family and work stuff. And then I'm like, well, hopefully I can get there a day before season starts and do some good scouting. And then it's hunting season. I'm probably maybe a little bit more than someone in Michigan, but not that much more. So it's not that
Well,
much
and it
different.
takes you guys so long to go anywhere. Like, you got to drive over in a pass. You got to find a pass. And it's like, whenever I'm out west, I'm like, if you could just have a straight road straight to where I need to go, I don't need to go around a mountain or over a mountain. That would be nice.
That would be nice, right? Yeah.
It's easy for me. I can drive 20 minutes and, get 20 plus miles away. No problem, And so it's like, yeah, like you said, I mean, it's out here. It is easy to go and find a chunk of public land, especially in Michigan. It's everywhere. Just within a half hour, you can probably find a pretty good chunk of land that you can hunt. For me, I can almost see public land from where I am. So it's like, there's a lot of space. But I was thinking about that because I have a buddy who always complains about being from Michigan. I'm like, you don't even know. Just enjoy what you have, And
the fishing, man. You guys got great fishing.
Great fishing. This summer is my first dip into fly fishing, and we're like, Michigan is like a fly fishing place, like Pure Marquette and, some of these other places around here, like great fly fishing. So I've been so far chasing smallies, which has been awesome, and catching a ton of them. So yeah, we've got great fishing here.
Yeah. I think anywhere you are in the United States, man, there's something cool to do there. You could figure out how to get outdoors and do something cool. Yeah, for sure.
Like you were saying, you kind of make the life you want. You can figure out with what you got and make something happen where you're outside. On this podcast, we've talked to everybody from trappers to hunters to fishers to a guy that catches and trains falcons and then releases them in the fall. Like just all sorts of things you can do there. You can get outside. You can make it happen.
Yeah.
So.
I grew up in Nebraska, which was whitetail and turkey hunting, pheasant hunting there. But I used to love to go to little small farm ponds and just hook into huge bass, man. That was like
big old buckmouth. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Big old largemouth bass. Like it could be a little, like tiny little pond of like, I'm talking maybe 75 yards across. Right. And I'm fishing and I can hook into 5-pound bass, man. Yeah. I used to love doing that. So yeah, there's always something for everybody, no matter where you're at.
Yeah, that's right. We did when I was growing up. We'd sneak on golf course ponds at night.
Yeah.
And you get a jitterbug out there, and you catch some huge bass on these, and we'd get run off quite a bit by some dude with a golf cart with a flashlight, chasing us through the golf course and stuff. Like you said, get creative. You break just some minor rules and a little breaking and trespassing, I guess, and you can make some fun stuff happen.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, Kurt, we're coming up on time here. Appreciate you taking the time. I know you got a lot going on, so I'm very much appreciate you your willingness to share some stories and chat with me for a while. For folks who want to watch your show, follow the hunts that you're doing, check out some of the photos from down south. Where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, where's Western Obsessions TV. Or I do a lot of, if you want to see kind of like my daily activities and what I do on a day-to-day basis, just Instagram would be the best place there with Western Obsessions TV.
Cool. Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, everybody go check them out. And Kurt, next time you're in Michigan, come hang out. We'll go fishing or,
Heck yeah,
maybe sneak on a golf course pond or something and see what kind of damage we can do out there.
That'd be great. Yeah, if you're ever in Colorado, you want to go on an elk hunt, man, let's do it. We got to get our paths across and do
For
like
sure.
a hunt together or something like that.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love it. All right. Well, thank you again, man. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good.